knowing that you needed to use R3 and D3, that you need to do that. And then 1.4 saying decreasing because you got a negative. Okay. Part C says at what time t, from 0 to 8, is the amount of water in the pipe at a minimum? Justify your answer. So when they ask for a minimum or a maximum on an interval, they mean absolute. If they just said, they would say relative or local if that's what they meant. But in this case, they're saying in this time interval, so in this specific interval, when will the amount of water in the pipe be at an absolute minimum? So absolute maxims and mins have to be on an interval, and they can occur anywhere that they can occur at the endpoints of the interval or anywhere that the derivative equals 0 in the interval. So when we found absolute maxims and mins, what we did was we found the derivative, we set it equal to 0, and then we plugged those numbers plus the endpoints into the function. So that's basically what we have to do on this one. I think this is the hardest part of this problem. It's worth 3 points, but it's something that I always kind of have a little bit of trouble coming up with figuring out how to do it. I mean, once I see it, it makes sense, but coming up with it the first few times is a little tricky. So, okay, so I know that the total amount of water in the tank is going to be 30, because that's what it started with. It started off with 30 cubic feet of water in the pipe at 0, plus the total amount of change from 0 to whatever time I'm talking about of the difference between the rate it's coming in and the rate it's going out. So this is the starting amount. This is how much is in the pipe at the start. And then this would integrate the rate of change to get the total change, right, in the amount of water in the pipe. So you take the starting amount and then you add the total change. This is just like what we did on part A. We want to know the total change, so we integrate the rate of change, except we don't want to know how much flowed into the pipe. So that's what we did on part A. We only looked at what came into the pipe. We want to know how much is actually there. So we want how much comes in minus how much goes out. Okay. So this is what we're going to be plugging into once we figure out what we're going to plug in, the places where we could have a minimum. So this is our function. This is the function that would tell us the amount of water in the pipe at any time. So I know that I need to know the amount at 0, which I already know, 30 cubic feet. That's how much it started. I need to know the amount at the end. And I need to know the amount at any point when the derivative would have equaled 0. So remember, the derivative, or the rate of change for this one, is r of t minus d of t. Because if I take the derivative of this, the 30 is going to go away, the integral is going to go away, and I'm just going to get r of t minus d of t. So I need to know where r of t minus d of t equals 0 in this interval. All right, so probably the easiest way to do that is with a graph. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go onto my graph. And I'm going to graph r of t minus d of t. I'm going to graph f1 of x minus f2 of x. And look at where it's 0. F1 minus F2. Honestly, if it were me taking the test, I probably would not get the points for this part, because it doesn't occur to me to work the problem this way. But yeah, so this is the graph of the total rate of change of the amount of water in the pipe, right? Remember, F1 was the rate water was coming into the pipe. F2 was the rate it was going out. This is the combination of the two. This is the rate of change of the amount of water in the pipe. The combination of in and out. And so this equals 0. Equals 0 several places, but the only one that's between 0 is that one right there. So I'm going to analyze this graph to find the 0. That is, huh?
Mine isn't even graphing.
Okay.
Mine's like, everything else looks like that.
3.272. Okay, I'll look at it.
Were we supposed to like 3 and 2? Like F.
So you were supposed to put, whoops,
Did you F1 minus F2?
F1 of x minus F2 of x.
Oh, wait, I can't even find this. It's so. Okay. Wait, how do I?
And we could do some more of these on Saturday. If you can't make it on Saturday, I'll record it. But
How do you change your equation when you put it wrong?
so, like you already hit enter and it's graphed. Then if you press tab, it should bring back up the little entry line at the bottom, and then just scroll up, and it should go through. No, what's the matter, Noette?
The tab is at the top.
What tab is at the top?
Like, you know the tab is at the like indicative tab and you mentioned in the bottom, it's at the top.
Your entry line is at the top? It's weird, I've never seen that before.
That once, I just changed that.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Huh.
I cried.
Right.
Literally cried.
We're good with the calculators, but the buttons don't work very well. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'll check and make sure all of them. What's up there like that? That's so weird.
Mine is not there.
I don't know if you should do this.
Hmm.
And then C.
I don't know if it's this, cause this looks like one of the newer ones. Right, it has like a little bit darker color. I don't know if that's just part of the operating system on the newer ones. It's kinda cool, cause it tells you what color that graph is.
Yeah. I mean, it's nice.
Yeah. Okay, so let's see, so you've got, oh yeah, you need to put X instead of 3.
Because I have a birthday reward, and I have a gift card.
Oh, birthday reward, like a.
It's half off, and then it's a birthday month. And
There
my
we go.
birthday month is about in 2 days, so. No, yeah, we're working out, you know that. No, it's just up front, I don't know.
Okay. So once you find the 0, I'm gonna store that value, cause I'm gonna have to plug it in here in a minute to actually find out how much water is there at that time. This just means that the amount of water in the tank at that point is changing at 3.27 whatever cubic feet per minute, right? That's the rate of change at that point in time. And it's the point where the amount coming in and the amount going out are equal. That's why it's 0 right there. Okay, so I'm going to store that. So you press Control menu, like hover over it until it kind of turns gray. You see the little hand open over the coordinate there. And I'm going to press Control menu.
How'd you get the coordinates?
I did Analyze Graph. So Menu, Analyze Graph, and 0. And because you have multiple graphs on here, it's first going to say graph question mark because it wants to know which graph you want to find a 0 for. So you got to click on the graph. Then the lower bound line will pop up.
Which graph?
The one we just made. The third one. Yeah. That's why we're looking for the 0 one.
Okay, I still don't get the lower bound of this bound thing.
Just to the left and to the right. Put that little dotted line.
Rather than clicking right on the spot,
Go to the left of it. You're basically like narrowing it in for the calculator because otherwise it would have to search infinitely to try to find the zeros. So you're narrowing down its search. It's like refusing to do it.
Wait, do you do it on like the 0?
Yeah.
What?
What do you do it?
Alright, so click on the graph that you want to find the 0 for. Yeah.
What you do is like give it a range to search for. You search like before the 0, you know the 0, you can see where the 0 is at. But hit the
There you
line.
go, there it is, right there.
Before.
I wasn't clicking on the graph.
Yeah, yeah, it threw me off the first time too, but when you have more than one graph, it needs to know which one you want it to find zeros for.
How do you get it so you can see it?
So is that one?
You hover over it and then you click and hold until it grabs it.
No, because that has a 0, so you put it in.
Now, what'd you say, John?
Is that 3.2?
7.2, yeah.
A that where it said it's minimum?
Maybe, we have to check. It's one of the possible places that it could be.
So, if you
Okay.
get 3 point, alright, yeah, 3.7.
It could be at its minimum at 0, it could be at its minimum at 8, or it could be at its minimum at a place right there. So we have to check and see which one
If
it
you
is.
don't have like 3.71 to 1, and you put 3.27, is that okay?
Um,
Or-
Not for your final answer, you would need 3 decimal places. I'll make sure too that they're set to show at
Well, I'm
least
saying
3.
like, cause sometimes when we do the lookup, I'm saying like, I don't get the exact same number that you have, and so,
It's weird.
I don't know.
Alright, so I'm gonna do control menu and I'm gonna store this. You can store it for anything, I'll just store it for, I don't know, we'll do W. Because in here in just a second, I'm gonna use it to actually find the minimum. And so you don't wanna use a rounded answer to find another answer. You can get a rounding error, it can make your answer be off. Especially since you have to go out 3 decimal places, that's pretty far. So once you get out that far, it could make your answer be off a little bit. So I'm gonna store it as W. So the 3 places where there could be a minimum, that's why I'm telling you, I probably would not get the points on this part. I would be okay, like most people average a couple of points on a free response. I mean, it's not common for people to get, it's definitely not common to get all 9, and it's not even common to get like 6. Like, the average score on a free response is probably 2 or 3, maybe 4 points. Yeah, so it's not, I mean, it's hard to get all 9.
Why can't I be like a computer
Is
program,
there
like
6
write your name?
questions?
Huh?
Is there 6 different questions?
There's 6 different free responses, yeah, that are worth 9 each.
It counts as 1, right?
This count all is 1.
Get
Yeah.
1 on each point for free response,
I mean, you'd be halfway to a 3 if you got 2 points for each. Well, no, I guess you'd be about a third of the way to a 3. A little more than a
We
third of
did
the way.
part A be the point.
Just part A was 2, part B was 2, this is 3, and then part D is 2. Part D is not that hard.
So if you got all these questions right, would you have gotten them required 2 points?
If you got all the free response,
Like, for just 1 question, if you got all 9 points.
if you got all 9 points, no, you wouldn't have a 3 yet. I mean, 'cause you need points for a 3. So you would need some other points. Like, I mean, you would need some points from some multiple choice or some other free response.
Do that for next year.
Cause I always not, like, this is what the next is.
You'd be surprised.
There are 4 possible choices on each of the
5.
4 answer
There's
choices.
5 answers?
5 answers on the multiple choice.
Like,
It's A, B, C, D, E.
Like, word.
Yeah.
So they put it at 4,
I got
and you were close, and you just guessed, then
That's
you get like
25%, like,
25.
But it's only 20%. So you get 20, if you got 20% of the points on the multiple choice, you'd have about 11 points.
Yep, okay, me. Okay.
And then if you got,
11 plus 6 points,
So you get
1
2
point on
points
each.
so you got, so then that would be 12,
Dang.
you'd still wouldn't have enough for a 3.
Okay, so you get 11
What,
points.
what is the range of, on, like, to get 1? Is that
Like,
from 0 to?
on this year, it was like up to a 20 points. Up
Yep,
to
I
a
would've
20
gotten
would be
a
1.
1.
And there's 6
And
responses,
then 20
right?
to 30 would be
So I get
2.
2 points in each
Yeah,
response.
21 to 33 was a 2.
Well, what's
34 to 47 was 3. Now it changes every year depending on how hard the test was that year, maybe lower or higher, but
Wait,
it's usually within like a couple of
One of
points.
your points is a 2?
Yeah.
Dang it.
21 points is a 2, yeah.
What's the 3 again?
34.
That's such a big difference.
Yeah.
That would make me so much more happier.
You might surprise yourself.
Yeah, you could give yourself equal like 9 times. Listen, I don't even have that.
They don't even
Look
have
at
that.
this better.
They really
How
do.
do you save it
Look how
again?
this is farther.
Hover over it
Okay, yeah,
until it kind of turns light gray,
right.
and then press Control Menu.
Control menu.
Control Menu, and number 4 should say Store.
They hover over it, press it, and press
Or it is just this variable.
Whatever variable you want to store it as, just pick a letter. So just remember what you stored it as.
Always get
You
C.
deleted it, son?
C always.
No.
I knew everybody. No.
What's the
C
matter?
is always the right choice.
I
to get.
deleted the graph
Oh.
instead of, okay, that's, not doing it.
Okay, so now we have to figure out which of these is the actual minimum. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna plug each of them into this equation up here. So just remember that you have this stored as F1, you have this stored as F2, and you're plugging each of these in for the top number, right? So we already